In November 2025, the world's attention turned to Doha, Qatar. The Arab Islamic Summit had been called under urgent circumstances. Just days earlier, an Israeli airstrike shook the heart of Doha, targeting Hamas officials during peace negotiations. The attack not only killed civilians, but also struck at Qatar's credibility as a mediator. The Arab world was outraged, Islamic nations were alarmed, and the global community watched in shock. But what no one expected was that a young African leader, thousands of miles away from the Middle East, would deliver the most powerful speech of the entire summit. His words would shake the hall, trend worldwide, and force the world to pay attention. That leader was Ibrahim Traoré, the 34-year-old president of Burkina Faso. His fiery words turned what could have been just another diplomatic gathering into a historic moment. The Israeli strike on Doha was seen as more than just a military action. For many in the Arab and Islamic world, it was a message that no place was safe, not even the negotiation table. Qatar, long seen as a neutral mediator, suddenly became a victim of the very conflict it was trying to help resolve. This act sent shockwaves across the region. And so, the Arab Islamic Summit was called. Leaders from across the Muslim world gathered in Qatar. There were presidents, kings, and ministers. The atmosphere was tense. The anger was real. Many expected strong condemnations, perhaps even symbolic gestures of unity. But few expected open confrontation. When Ibrahim Traoré's turn came, the hall did not anticipate much. After all, he was not Arab, not Middle Eastern, and Burkina Faso is far from the epicenter of the crisis. Yet what he delivered in those next minutes would become the headline of the entire summit. He began quietly, calm, composed, almost understated, but his first words cut through the room. Today, we stand on the fault lines of hypocrisy, power, diplomacy, and war. The statement hung in the air. Leaders shifted in their seats. Some leaned forward, others frowned. Traoré's voice was steady, but his message was sharp. He declared that the attack on Qatar was not only an assault on Hamas or on one nation, it was an assault on peace itself. If mediators are killed during negotiations, then peace itself is already dead. The room fell into silence. The weight of his words was undeniable. Then his speech turned sharper. He accused the West of fueling hypocrisy. He pointed to the double standards, where Western powers condemn violence in one part of the world but defend or justify it in another. He reminded the audience that many of the weapons used in these conflicts come directly from Western suppliers. Walls built through hypocrisy will crumble, but trust forged in justice will endure. Those words resonated. Some leaders nodded in approval, others sat uncomfortably, but no one could ignore him. For the first time in years, a young African president stood before Arab and Islamic leaders and said what many had been afraid to say openly. He reminded them that unity without courage is meaningless, that words without action are empty. But Traoré did not stop at words of criticism. He offered demands. He called for coordinated legal action against Israel, urging nations to take the case to international courts. He demanded sanctions and boycotts, insisting that economic power could be used as a weapon of justice. He urged stronger alliances between Arab and African states, arguing that unity between the two regions would create a force the West could no longer ignore. And above all, he called for an end to silence. What is more costly, he asked the room, a handshake now or the loss of our principles forever? His words electrified the summit. Some leaders broke into applause, others clapped reluctantly, and some remained frozen. The young African president had disrupted the carefully managed atmosphere of diplomacy. The cameras caught every moment. And soon the world outside the summit hall reacted. On social media, Traoré's words spread like wildfire. Within hours, hashtags like Doha Summit and Traoré Speech were trending across Africa, the Middle East, and beyond. Supporters celebrated him as a fearless voice of dignity. a leader unafraid to confront hypocrisy. Memes, clips, and translations of his speech circulated on every platform. Young people across Africa and the Arab world saw him as a symbol of courage. But there was also criticism. Some leaders privately complained that his words were too harsh, too risky, too confrontational. Western analysts labeled him dangerous, warning that his rhetoric could destabilize fragile diplomacy. Some feared economic backlash, sanctions, or political isolation. Yet even his critics admitted one thing: his speech had changed the tone of the summit. What made his words even more powerful was his background. Traoré was not a career politician. He rose to power through military action, overthrowing a government he accused of serving foreign interests. In less than 3 years, he had expelled French forces, aligned Burkina Faso with new allies, and inspired other African nations to reconsider their ties with the West. He became a symbol of defiance, a young leader unafraid to challenge global powers. And now, standing in Doha, he carried that same defiance into the Arab world. The international press could not ignore it. Headlines read, "Traoré speech shakes Arab Islamic summit," "Young African leader stuns world leaders," and "Doha summit turns fiery." Commentators debated his message on live television. Was this the beginning of a stronger Arab-Islamic-African alliance? Could his words push nations towards real action against Israel? Or would it all remain symbolic? At the close of the summit, the official declaration carried echoes of his demands: condemnation of the Israeli strike, support for Qatar, and a call for accountability. But even more than the declaration, it was the speech itself that people remembered. His fiery words would be replayed in classrooms, television debates, and community discussions for weeks. For millions of ordinary people, it was not just about Israel, Qatar, or the Arab world. It was about justice. It was about courage. It was about speaking truth in places where truth is often silenced. Ibrahim Traoré's fiery speech was more than just a political moment. It was a reminder that leadership is not about age or experience. It is about conviction. It is about having the courage to say what others fear. Whether or not his demands will be acted upon remains uncertain. But one thing is clear: he made history that day. And as the world reflects on the Arab-Islamic Summit of 2025, one question will continue to echo beyond Doha, beyond the Middle East, and beyond Africa. Will Traoré's fiery words be remembered as just rhetoric, or as the spark that ignites a new era of unity, justice, and resistance against oppression?